20th of September 2022. Suncity trial. Alvin Chau denies involvement in under-the-table betting. Former Macau junket boss Alvin Chau broke the silence for the first time on Monday since his detention last November, denying he has been involved in the illicit activities of side betting for high rollers. The court of first instance heard Mr. Chau and other 20 defendants, mostly mid to high-level management executives of the now-defunct Macau junket operator Suncity Group, are charged with illicit gambling activities, involvement in a criminal syndicate, fraud, and money laundering. The criminal syndicate, allegedly headed by Mr. Chau, and assisted by other defendants in this high-profile case, caused the Macau SAR government a loss of 8.2 billion Hong Kong dollars, $1 billion in gaming tax revenue between March 2013 and March 2021, as well as losses for the city's gaming operators, the official indictment said. The trial was due to start on September 2 but was later adjourned to Monday, as only 10 out of 21 defendants were present in the previous session. Although the same turnout was repeated on Monday, Liu Yang-ha, who heads a 3-judge panel in charge of this case, ruled that the trial could continue in the absence of some defendants. The first one to take the stand to answer questions from the Public Prosecution's Office and legal counsels of other representatives in the case, Mr. Chau, who dressed in a dapper-style suit, denied on Monday multiple times he was involved in the practice of under-the-table betting as accused by the public prosecutors. Under-the-table betting, or also known as side betting or multiplier, usually refers to a form of gambling in which a bet formally denominated at the casino gambling tables only represents a fraction of the amount of a private bet made between gamblers and junket operators to avoid gaming revenue levies. Given the volume of business Suncity, which was said to be the largest junket operator in the city, enjoyed prior to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, Mr. Chau told the court it was not necessary for them to conduct side betting. Side betting firms. The public prosecutors also stated there were 2 companies handling the finance and credits of side betting made by high rollers for Suncity. But Mr. Chau denied today these 2 companies were linked to him. "I'm aware there have been activities of under-the-table betting, but I have not been involved in it," he said. He added the operation of side betting may be headed and supervised by Chung Chi-kin, who he said was not an employee of Suncity. Mr. Chung is the 5th defendant in this case, and according to the indictment seen by MNA, he was the owner of 2 firms, Daewoo MA and Karaoke Godness, and was said to supervise side betting activities for the criminal syndicate headed by Mr. Chau. The prosecutors also presented several transcripts of intercepted phone calls and messages today, in which Mr. Chau was said to discuss with other people including Mr. Chung about side betting. The former junket boss denied he did so, adding he only discussed with his staff about the financial situation of the clients and whether they should approve new credits for them to gamble. There were a total of over 40,000 messages recorded in the servers of the side betting companies in 8 years, and only about 40 of them involved Mr. Chau, he told the court, adding this small amount of message proved he was not involved in the operation. Legal operation. Part of the trial today also focused on the operation of online and proxy betting of Suncity, as Mr. Chau and others have been indicted for running these types of illicit gambling activities in approved gaming venues. Proxy betting refers to gamblers giving instructions via telephone or other gadget to another person, known as a proxy, who helps them to place a bet on a brick-and-mortar casino. Mr. Chau testified that Suncity had not conducted proxy betting in Macau since it was banned in 2016, and the operation had then been relocated to casinos in the Philippines that the junket operator had collaborated with. This type of gambling is legal in the Philippines, he stated. But Suncity had ceased running the proxy and online betting business in the Philippines since mid-2019, he continued. Following hard-hitting reports by the mainland Chinese media in June 2019 that the junket operator enticed mainland gamblers to gamble overseas through proxy and online betting. The business had transferred to a businessman named Richard Young, Mr. Chau said, who added, however, there was not an official transaction of the operation. But he emphasized, Suncity had been in operation in 28 countries around the world for 14 years and no one had ever said we had violated any criminal laws. Repayment of debts. He also talked about his relationship with Cheung Ling Ling, or also known as Zhang Ningning, who served on his behalf and the junket operator to manage assets on the mainland. The prosecutors accused these assets were repayments of debts from the mainland gamblers to the criminal syndicate headed by Mr. Chau, including debts of side betting, a claim that the former junket boss also refuted today. Ms. Zhang, among 35 defendants, pleaded guilty in August in a separate trial about a cross-border illegal gambling syndicate linked to Mr. Chau in an intermediate court in Wenzhou, a city located in the Chinese eastern Zhejiang province. In the session today, Mr. Chau also shared that as the founder and a shareholder of Suncity, he had been entitled to less than 14% of the profits generated by the now-defunct junket operator. The trial is adjourned to Tuesday, tomorrow, afternoon, and it is expected Mr. Chau and other defendants will take the stand to answer questions. All the 10 defendants that were present today have stated they will testify for the trial. Separation of criminal and civil proceedings. Meanwhile, local public broadcaster TDM Radio Portuguese reported Judge Liu ruled last Friday that the criminal and civil proceedings of this case should be handled separately. 5 of the city's 6 gaming operators, all except Melco Resorts and Entertainment, are complainants in the case, filing damage claims against some of the defendants in the case, including Mr. Chau. While the Macau SAR government claimed a loss of 8.2 billion Hong Kong dollars in gaming tax revenue between March 2013 and March 2021 against the defendants, the amount of claims from the operators totaled at least 1.27 billion Hong Kong dollars, as the operators were said to lose as much as 2.28 billion Hong Kong dollars in gaming revenue over the same time period. Thank you for listening. This news is brought to you by mpluslivetv and Macau News Agency. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Facebook.